Hi, welcome to the Jansen Art Studio. Welcome to a quick painting we're going to do today of some peonies. Now, what I've done here so far, this is a 11 by 14 canvas. I put some gray color down. Then I took a little bit of my phthalo blue and white and brushed it up here into the sky. Then I added a little bit of black and a little bit of yellow, hunts of yellow to that. Made a green color and brushed that down into the lower part down in through here. If you add more yellow, you get more of a yellow-green. Now I'm ready to toss in some of my peonies. I'm using the Heritage Multimedia acrylic paint. It's the only paint I paint in. And we're going to try to do it pretty quick here. So I'm going to use a big brush. This is my 3/4 inch brush, the same brush that I base the board in. I'm going to take down some of my red, my naphtha red light. We'll take a little bit of our red violet down here. We'll add just a bit of white to that. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to put a peony right in here. And I'm just going to come in and just quickly base in from the outside edge in here, pulling in like this. And I'm going to try to undulate these a bit more than what I'm doing there. So I'm going to try to, what I mean is step out a little farther and a little, sometimes a little closer, sometimes a little farther, using sometimes the chisel of the brush so that the, every petal is not exactly the same here. I don't want to put all the petals the same here. Here we go. And just a nice variation of our color. We might as well just toss some of this right down into the center there as well. I'm also going to put some indications of some back ones here. So let's put another one right in over here. Very casual. And maybe one coming down here. More of a bud of one, maybe. Right in there. That'll be nice. And maybe sometimes I'll put a little bit of one starting up right up through there like that. I'm going to take some of my Hansa and some of my black here, and we'll make a nice dark contrasting green color. We'll put this right into the lower portion here of the painting, right down in here, and like that. And I always use a paper towel. I always wipe my brush with a paper towel here. Get rid of some of that excess color. We'll toss some of this around. Again, this is just to give some movement into the back areas. Suggest some, maybe some leaves or something going on here. Stay very casual with this. Just toss some color around. Have a little fun. I like how some artists say, they describe it. Get very playful with it. Use your brush. Just do out like this. And get playful with it. Here. Maybe use just the chisel of the brush and set up some ideas of some stems and stuff through there like that. That'll work. Now I'm going to step down to, you can go down to a 10 or you can go all the way down to like a 6. As a matter of fact, let's paint with a 6 today. Why not? What the heck? Let's take some of our Hansa and let's come in and let's just add some of that right into the very center part of the peony here. We maybe give a little bit of an impression of it right in here, right in that area there, that there might be, you might pick up a little bit of the center. You can always take it out. You can always take it out if you don't like it in there, okay? And let's grab some of our reds again here. And let's just come in and we'll be a little more specific here, putting on the edges of the petals. So I'll just take some color and I'll push in and out like this a bit. I love to use these fusion brushes like this, pushing in and out. Okay? They do such a great job. Sometimes I'll use a light color on a flower. Sometimes I'll use a dark color like this, just pushing in and out. It all depends on the type of contrast or position of the flower to the light. We try to always paint something a little different. So I try not to set up habits with my flowers. I try to always paint them a little different. So that's what makes them so casual. Because I never try to repeat the same flower, twice. I always try to paint it a little different. Yeah. I like that. Now, you can scoop some of the petals. There's all different kinds of ways. I have all kinds of techniques that I use out there, but we'll just set up some of that nice motion here. Let's come right up to here and let's just set up a little bit of that motion there into this one. Here. We'll leave that nice bright little spot of red there. I love that. We'll put some right up over here. There, like that. That's nice. And sometimes I'll pull out. That'll make the petal look different, and that's the whole goal, is to make it always look different. And we'll take some of that red. Let's just spot this one up here. Get some of this nice. These are going to be turned back here, so we'll just push in and out, and we'll keep it softer because the main interest is going to be up in that front peony there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my white. I'm going to tap it right into some of the yellow here, maybe a touch of the red right up here. And I'm going to model this together in here like this with my white and my red. We model it so the brush, I just tap it and roll the brush into that. And we're going to come up in here and we're going to start the center petals of the peony here. And I'm going to use a lot of color. And I just, almost with the very thick paint, just kind of draw that petal around like that. And set that in and just kind of draw it around. Like a little tiny center here. To it, the little edges of it here. There we go. There. And we'll add a little bit more of our yellow out through here. Maybe get a little bit of our red going in here too, because that'll make you got to plan ahead for pinks. That'll happen. And I want this area of the peony to be warmer, so I'm going to put in, when I make my pink, so I'm going to put in some more red. This area back here could be a little cooler, so I'll add just a little bit of that in here. There we go. Around like that. And we'll model up a nice, little bit warmer pink here. And we can just come in and push in some petals. We're not done with that center. We'll revisit it, but I'll just come in here and just start some petals around the peony here. So you work around here, around like that. So I see where the center is going to be, and now I'm just going to go around out here and put in some of the petals. As they come, as the peony's petals get a little bigger out here, they'll get as they come out, they'll get a little bigger. We use some nice light color here. And so you see I push back and forth with this little brush. That's how I love to paint these. There, like that. They are very similar to the rose. I paint a lot of roses, and I use a very similar type of movement of the brush to where I paint carnations. So to get a lot of movement to the petals. Not the same movement that I do with the roses, but with the carnations. So I get a lot of movement here. You can pick up an edge like this and draw a little edge of petal here. That makes pretty petals. And we'll come in and we'll lighten up through the center here. Right in here. Just lighten this up here into the center. Building more color, more paint, short, choppy. But I'm looking for the movement. So you see I'm pulling down like this, a little curved, which will cause this flower to cup just a bit. And we'll pull slightly curved this way, causing that flower to cup as well. This way. Pull out right in here into the front. There. We'll put some softer movement here, in and out. I'll end up going back and forth over some of these petals several times until I get the look that I want to have. But I'm building paint more than anything else. I'm building paint. And you can see I bend some, so I pull some out, I'll pull some in, pull some out. Variation here. Build up more color, more beautiful pinks. Here. And out to here, short, choppy little strokes here. You can come back with any kind of shadow and restate any shadow. If you feel that you take one out a little too much, you can just come back in and set in shadow and redirect a petal. Very easy. So don't worry about that. In fact, I'm going to reset some yellow in here. Short, choppy little yellows to get in there. There we go. A little bit more yellow right in here. So you see, it's a process, a building process. And we'll start some lighter. You got to remember the petals in towards the center are smaller, so you use smaller strokes. But I use very thick paint like this and curve them around like they're joining up in and around the center here. You know, I just put on real thick paint and just kind of press around the center here. And swirl that around a bit. And we continue to build. And we'll add some curving. Add some curving different ways, because the peony kind of, some of the petals kind of curve up and around onto the, and I just start just picking up lots of white and just like thinking about the tips of the petals. We have nice movement here, so start to think about the tips of the petals and the movement here. And when you get out to that outside edge, sometimes it's nice to use a little bit larger brush again so that you don't get quite as much movement here on the outside edge here. You do want the outside to be a little softer, the outside petals a little softer than the inside petals. And around it goes. That's nice. And we'll build up these out here. So these petals are coming out towards you. Here. Just nice big thick paint. Touch it into nice big thick paint. Just pick up big dollops of paint now towards the last little edges here, and just kind of imagine the small little petals here, like edges of little petals. I'm going to get a little bit of my Too Red, nice softer pink here, and just come in and add some of this light back up here that's a little bit softer, because this will be more towards the light side of the peony. We'll leave a little touches of some of that dark there, but Sometimes the peonies have just a nice spot of like red right into the center there that you can just tap into there. And we'll leave some of that dark out at the tips and for that nice contrast. And just a little bit of the light color. But remember out here, these petals get nice and large now. And once you get some of that movement, like some of these, you can just take your brush and kind of bring them together from a bunch of smaller little petals now into a larger petal that's a little softer. But don't take out all of the movement. So I like put in lots of strokes, and then I'll come back and just stroke through a couple of times, just a little bit light with the brush like this, and it'll soften out some of the strokes and make it appear like a larger petal in there. So don't worry about it if your peony starts to look really busy, lots going on, because you can just come back and stroke it again and it'll become one color. Now in some painting techniques, I tell you, don't stroke too many times. But here we're going to use that particular thing that happens when we stroke too many times to make something a little softer if we want. You can, like I said, always come back and restate some shadows into some areas. As you build all of this beautiful movement here, just come in and restate some shadows. Sometimes I'll do that. You know, the peony it's like a smaller rose on the inside, so it does have like a little bowl, and the flower looks really pretty sometimes if you do give it that impression of the little bowl in there. There, like that. Does look very pretty. I'll just build up some additional coloring here. A little more dark, maybe right in that very center part of that flower there. Little edges. You can, just like the rose, you can pull in and out. Restate any shadows. That makes kind of a pretty little peony there. We'll come back out here with the light here. Now let's put the lighter petal of this one back up in front. We'll add a little light movement to this one. There, like that. Bit over here. And we'll add a little lighter. And sometimes, though, you'll have those nice darker petals out here at the edge of the peony. So we'll just leave that, and we'll put just a little movement of light, just a suggestion of that right in here. A little suggestion of the movement there. Let's do the same thing over here. A little suggestion of some light movement. And some petals coming out like this. A little bit of the light movement here. That one opens up there. little suggestion of some light movement here on this one. Back here, and just some little bit of violets there. That's nice. Now we'll come in and take some of our black here. And drop in like the little calyx there. Make like the little calyx there. Black and haunts of yellow here. Get some of that nice movement out and away. And we'll start to build some more petals. The leaves. We'll build some leaves here. Ideas of them. Let's put just another little impression of one out in here. That's why I really like the big brush. So I'm going to head back to my... When I paint more impressionistic, I like the big brush because it puts on something very impressionistic, soft, very, very fast. But we'll add the ideas of some leaves. Here. A little bit lighter yellow green. So yellow, black, and a little bit of white. And since we have so much blue into our background, let's get a little blue in there. That'll make a prettier green that goes with the background a little bit better. Here. And we've got to balance that light of the peony here, so we got to hit some of that light out here into these leaves here as well. Put some of that right out here. Get some of that nice light yellow green. Just get some nice movement in here of this color. And let's just drag some down out through here. And see how it's building and lifting the composition here, getting some of this light out here like this. And I will soften some edges sometimes, just putting my finger in and out of that green and that the red, the edge of that peony. Sometimes I'll leave the edge. Sometimes I'll say, okay, I'm going to come in here and soften that. I like that. So you get this nice, and that'll become pretty right out into there. So we'll soften that. Then we'll come back and we'll pick up a few edges of it. So that's pretty. That softens that out there. And we'll come back and pick up some of that edges. But I've got all of this blue out through here. I'm going to put a little bit of green into that. Here, a little bit of that green. Got this blue color, and I want to carry that down in here. But first I'm going to move some of this green in here to soften that blue in there. Let's get some of this brighter blue-green. Let's get some blue-green. Yes, even a cerulean like this or a phthalo, either one of them in there. Get this brighter bluey green in there. work some of that color. See, I need to get those colors. Right now I'm watching my colors through here, so that's a prettier color. Prettier statement of some greens as well in there. That's a pretty statement. Now let's just darken that down here. And so we'll take the phthalo, the black, and the Hansa here with that phthalo. Darken that down. This will create our shadowy green here again. Now we got a good coloring here. Yeah, and that gets a, you can see we're creating that contrast there. There, and just tap that in and out. That'll help that those edges of the peony here. In and out like that. Maybe a little bit out here. But very soft, but you just need a little bit of that there. Out there. Now we'll come back in and go back to my smaller brush. We'll come back and work on the edges of our peony, and then we'll put in some final leaves here. Go back and restate and rework the edges of the peony here. And I've slowly evolved this a little bit to the light side out here. I like this lighter peony, the lighter petal edges, a little bit better than I did the darker here. And like I say, painting is an evolution. You can change your mind on things. So don't ever be afraid to change your mind. But again, it's not always what you like. I always say, don't always paint what you like. Paint things that are different. You know, I'm a professional painter, so I always try to paint things that are different. You know, I don't always paint what I like. I paint things that are different. So here I just wiggle that little bit of light into that outside edge there. There we go. Just a little bit of that coloring in. And I'm going to pull out as well. Pulling it out. But I'm watching the movement more than anything else as I'm putting these petals in. I'm watching the movement of the petal into the bowl and the petal edge and here. So, you know, I can drop that edge in, lighten that up there. A little bit of white right here will help that stay in front of that other one. So, and that looks pretty nice on that. But we will put a little bit of light onto this one, a little bit more. And you'll use a lot of white on a painting like this as you build. As you build these peonies, you'll use a lot of white. Nice pretty little thing. Drop a little bit down here, a little bit lighter down here. Kind of close that one up and around there. And maybe just to wiggle a little bit of the light in here. Maybe a little bit of light showing up back here into that one there. And a little bit on the edge here. That's good. Then we'll build here some edge to, we don't have to, won't take too much here to build the leaves because we already have really the greens in there. So we can just use the same, and I'm a firm believer in using the same technique that you did on the peony into painting the leaf. So, you know, if we're putting on an edge and pulling in, then put on an edge of this lighter color, set it down like this, and then pull the color in and out. Use that same technique so that the leaf of the peony and the peony have the same visual effect. That makes them go together better. Let's just take a little shadow, drop in a little shadow there. But we'll put in, not perfect leaves, just a little bit, say a little bit more casual. Not perfect, just a little more casual. Here. Matter of fact, I'm going to go to some of my big brush again, just to set some of that in. I don't want to get too streaky with it up against the peonies themselves. So the bigger brush will not make it quite as streaky. Put on that same thing, but make sure you have the same visual effect, but not quite as many streaks of the strokes with it. There we go. Just some real soft ideas of leaves. Real soft yellow green here. And you know, like I said with everything else, you stroke it a couple times, it becomes soft. So, you know, if you put it on, it's a little streaky, just hit it a couple more times and it'll soften out. Just like we did on the petals. So you will want to do that in a few areas here. There. So it's an evolution here of the peony. So you can make the leaves as many contrasts as you want. You might want to add in a few little darker contrasts here. I will you know, add some more shadows back in there or work it just a couple of times, depending on how much contrast you want to have, okay? Hope you enjoyed that. That's a quick little look at a nice 30-minute little peony there and the shape of the peony and the smaller petals as they go in front with a little bit of Painted Simply. It's still very, very wet. It'll still be wet here for hours. If sometimes your colors get a little difficult to work with, like you feel like if you're not used to working with a lot of paint, you feel like you've got a lot of paint on there, then it's best just to step back, go get a cup of coffee, let it tack up for just a little bit, and come back and try it again, and then it works really well, okay? Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you back on some other of our videos, and I'll see you here at Jansen, our studio next time. Take care. Bye-bye.